Peace, Kugler. Think fast. Dude, right now, like the energy is very strong connecting with higher self and the ancestors and starting to realize because I always ask myself to be guided to the truth, to be guided to to the reality of our situation, like and to be guided by my intuition very strongly with a tremendously high level of clarity. Matter of fact, that's one of my affirmations. Matter of fact, been a part of my affirmations almost like at least for a year, because I do my affirmations ever since I first started meditating. I've been doing my affirmations as well. Kind of like after I finish my meditation, I hold my hand over my heart, because when you're holding your hand over your heart, it releases oxytocin. Oxytocin is like a little chemical that we release when we hug and put our hands over our heart. But anyway, I caught a strong guidance this morning. For the first time in a long time, I did a full ancestry roll call where I went through almost all my family members that I physical family members that I know of. Because again, this is a realizing we are God on a human experience. And just because I'm acknowledging, because that's another thing, and I had to change that within myself, like feeling like, because of course, say for instance, we don't want to go back in the past. We don't want to be, dealing with anything that hinders us from our soul ascension and hinders us from our spiritual growth. But I'm realizing that I'm being led to like a lot of this ancient knowledge and dealing with, because I'm about to get into that, with us being in slavery and stuff like that, those type of days, and like Louisiana history. But I realize again that's just what's relevant to the now. And matter of fact, dealing with my with my soul purpose in essence. Like I'm a person. Again, I don't like to give myself no title, but like a teacher indirectly. I like to share information. So it's like that vibe of my high self let me know, like, nah, you just like to deliver information, like you like to study stuff. So just because you studying these ancient history, that don't put you back in that history. You know what I'm saying? Just like any other scholar who's in there now, but like to read history and philosophize about ancient history. But I came so drop my lower vibrations, had to get rid of them lower vibrations, aka take a little bowel movement in the morning, get them lower vibrations out. And so and two, I tell people, like, I could feel myself. It's like you feel yourself raising up in vibration a little bit. But I came at fact a little family it's a family bookshelf, but a little bookshelf been here since a little kid. Matter of fact, this corner in this bookshelf also used to scare me when I was a little kid. Matter of fact, my room kind of right across right here with the door, and like I used to always be scared to look through this door, because that I realized that shadow beings and how sensitive our senses are as a little kid. Like I realized, like I was sensitive to seeing different little beings and stuff like that, but I kind of started shutting it out a little bit. But anyway, so I caught the urge to just really, and two, I'm giving, sharing this. So again, by sharing experience, you get to see, like through my experience, you may get some insight on how your intuition or higher self, ancestors may have spoke to you, or is speaking to you, and how to realize that you are being guided by that energy. Because again, the logical mind, like, so logically I'm like, matter of fact, logically I'm like, all right, I'm going power of now, and I'm like, bro, I've been told about the Celestine prophecy since I first got on my spiritual awakening. So I'm like, I'm gonna get into that as well today. So I'm sitting down, I'm gonna go use the bathroom, but then I'm like, all right, didn't pick up those books. I'm like, something told me, like, to so I started writing something down, and I started seeing how many loose papers I got. So something was like, well, you need to get a little folder, like a little folder to put your papers in. So I'm like, so I come in here, and I know that normally, they have folders in this little place over here by my mom's desk. But something just gave me the urge to go by the little bookshelf, so I'm digging through the bookshelf and I come across some of my old little second grade stuff and pictures and stuff like that. And so after that, I gravitate towards a book. The first book I gravitated towards grabbing was this Civil War book, and then I started gravitating towards, this area. Let's see. Dealing with the so matter of fact, you got this little area dealing with the slave abolitionists. Matter of fact, old Harriet, and y'all, again, I'm gonna drop this video today, so but like I just did this live video, about Veterans Day, and giving the ashe again to the ancestors, because also talking about like the spiritual warfare, and like a Harriet Tubman is like a fallen soldier as well, and I gave ashe out in the video, so no coincidence that you're like, I see you, bro, today. Matter of fact, this is a picture. Matter of fact, the different people. Harriet Beecher Stowe, the author of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Charles Callistus Burley, Lucretia Mott. When I saw Lucretia Mott, and she's a white person, but she was like a Quaker, and she was an anti-slavery person. As a matter of fact, then you got Charles Lennox Ramon, where she was a anti-slavery. Matter of fact, they were in the organization of the first World Anti-Slavery. No. Oh, the American Anti-Slavery Society. But matter of fact, I'm laughing at her last name because they got a lot of people in Louisiana, black people with that last name Mott. Like, I wonder if that has to do with her and freeing slaves. You got Sojourner Truth, Reverend William Lloyd Garrison. Also helping with the situation, Theodore Parker, and then Frederick Douglass over here. But I was led, to this information. Matter of fact, they also speak about which I never heard this, but like the terminology where it's Louisiana doctor, but which he was just on some pro-slavery stuff, but he was like the slaves, aka the melanated slaves, got like a disease of the mind, and you gotta whip the devil out of them. So that terminology of whipping the devil out of somebody, comes from that situation. Matter of fact, in this show, I was like, damn. And again, this is not dealing with this information on some it's relevant to our now, for everybody to know what has been going on and how it played out, to know what what's still going on right now, and how to and knowing, put it like this, how we always bring up pressure makes a diamond. Without going through slavery, you wouldn't know how good freedom is, without and not to say that you have to be a slave to enjoy life. That's not what that means. That means that again, like as I always bring up that analogy, like when you're playing a game, if the game was bland and boring, and it was easy to beat, you wouldn't really have like no or no high levels of enjoyment in that sense. It kind of just had a little mediocre vibe to it. If you wouldn't get bored and stop playing the game. Then you got this game where it's challenging, and then you get to a place where a certain board where you're always getting beat at, it's like, man, that boy always get me down, so you kind of feel that, like kind of sad, kind of down, like being in slavery. It's like when you uh when you overcome that little part on the board, it's like fucking right, like yeah, like bro, past that fucking, you run around the house, you throw the controller down, you run outside, like you know. But you have that high level of excitement and joy, and bliss, in that moment because you went through, that dark or low moment. So again, this is not on a human level condoning slavery, but on an energetic level, because again, we are source on a human experience, God's in a human body. Matter of fact, then again, just showing a different little situation. Matter of fact, because they got that thing I saw they put on around the neck to make sure that motherfucker wouldn't, to make sure that you couldn't lay down while you're working as well. I'm like, alright, and they show, matter of fact, little mammy taking care of master son. This book just kind of get into like the Civil War area. Matter of fact, a few ancestors. Ashe. No, but again, I was led to this book after my meditation, and then so after that book, I come across, again, old Louisiana history, and just basically coming across the information about the slaves coming into Louisiana. Matter of fact, I'm about to read from this book. Let's see. Although a small number of Africans came to the lower Mississippi prior to 1716, in that year several trading ships appeared with cargoes of blacks for sale to local residents. The Company of the Indies encouraged the importation of slaves as an incentive to spur the economic development of the region. Many of the black persons brought to Louisiana had come directly from the African regions of Guinea, the Gold Coast, and Angola, Senegalese, Guineas, Yorubas, and how how the voodoo traveled this way, and Angolans were among the colony's early enslaved population. Other blacks enslaved as well as free arrived in the colony from the French islands of the Caribbean. Now another thing, which to a certain extent, again, knowing your knowledge and knowing, with me having the insight that also though, that propaganda, like they try to make it seem like that's why they call, or you're African and you're Brazilian, even though y'all both black, y'all completely different. And and they try to create that with that situation. That's the same thing with like signing African American or this and that, in which say for instance they do all that little splicing for us, but they don't have like a European American or Australian American or this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't do that with other other ethnicities, so to speak. Oh, and again, like with the vibe of, so they got artifacts in Louisiana, found in Sentinel, in the area of Sentinel Park, downtown Baton Rouge, around the state capitol. There's artifacts that date back to 8,000 years old that outdate your Bible and your Quran here in America. That's not even in Africa. And the word Africa comes from, I don't know if it was like a Greek or Roman person, something Africanus. Matter of fact, I remember hearing about that watching the first Hidden Colors. Shout out to Hidden Colors. Shout out to Dr. Phil Valentine. But with that vibe of dang, I forgot where I was but speaking to, so again, like artifacts being around here from that long ago. Then you even got the situation where even way before that, you know, it was I forgot the name of the book, but speaking to how 400 years before Christopher Columbus was born, they had people from Mali, you know, a kingdom in Mali, you know, and that was their last expedition, was 400 years before Christopher Columbus was was even born, let alone allowed to sail the sea. But again, these people in Mali was going to the area of like Central America, Mexico area, you know, because matter of fact, in Mali they got like corn in that area, and that corn is not indigenous to that area, you know, indigenous to, again, that Central America, you know, Mexico area, and dealing with the, you know, the ancient Mayans and Aztecs with trading. So that been going on. So long story short, what I'm saying is, you know, melanated people been all over the planet for, you know, for years. Like, I don't even want to put a let's just say for over 20,000 years, or at least. When we was in Kemet, we was in a fallen place, you know. We fell from our grace. Because they even speak on like how they tried to bring native, like turn native, again, what they call the Native Americans, or the, you know, also calling them the Indians, but Indians, because Christopher Columbus thought he then came across the people in like from the Kush Empire that was in what was called India, you know, at the time. That's what he thought he was, and he even had some stuff in his diary speaking on like knowing that it was Hebrew people, or dealing with Hebrew people, but don't quote me, because I'm not very. My memory is not clear in that area, but I remember coming across some information dealing with that. But again, where they tried to make like, so if you, and also if you was a dark skinned you know, indigenous being to this area, they would try to make you sign up as black or African American, you know, again, to create that template, and also to not let people know, like, hey, these black motherfuckers was already here and native to this area, you know what I'm saying? Like, so try to make it like, oh, that's some other people, you know, they native this or this and that, you know. But again, just showing how yourself lead me, you know, to this information, as a matter of fact, and also the history of my city, Opelousas, Louisiana, which was the state capital for a little while. And also, so, and back to my ashes this morning. So, you know, I gave a ashe. I'm like, again, extended. So I'm like, Haile Selassie, ashe, Marcus Garvey, ashe, Michael Jackson, ashe, Tupac, Bob Marley. I was like, Gil Scott Heron. But then also with all my relatives. And like one of my relatives, my great uncle, Lawrence Emerson, you know, he was actually like he became the principal of the St. Landry Parish Training School, but which was like the first, you know, what they call the colored high school. Because matter of fact, in this time, 1916 in Louisiana, they wasn't, you know, allowing you know, it still wasn't integrated, and it still wasn't really providing school for you know, melanated people. Matter of fact, so to read from this little book, this is like a little alumni reunion book put together with, you know, stating the history. The date of the earliest efforts made by the black citizens of Opelousas, Louisiana to secure the opportunity of obtaining a high school education for their children is not recorded. However, St. Landry Parish School Board records reveal that the Opelousas Colored School was limited to 9 grades in 1916, while white students were allowed to complete 11 grades. And matter of fact, I gotta pause right there, because too, that's why I always bring up about like the that reverse racism of like, oh, look at the saggy pants, or look how ignorant, this person is. Like, look how, you know, again, talking about the melanated people and, being ignorant and, killing each other, sagging pants. But I'm like, that's like the situation where somebody give me a sleeping pill, they sneak a sleeping pill on me, and then come around like, look at Universal sleeping. That Universal ain't shit. Look at him sleeping and falling asleep. It's like, bro, you the one slipped the sleeping pill on me. That's why I'm falling asleep, and then you coming at me like, oh, look how lazy, look how stupid, So, again, it's like, if uneducated people would be something that, like, oh, that's what's wrong with society to us and that. Well, shit, you the one who created it by neglecting the education of, these people, and not trying to put, they kept books out of our hands for the longest. Like, you would get killed for reading, like, think about that. And we know about subconscious programming and trauma and repetition, repeat over time, and that and it's a fact. It's proven that this gets passed down in DNA. So my mom and dad don't even have to teach me how to be a slave. It's like embodied in my, in my bodysuit. You know what I'm saying? So again, just seeing that whole situation. But again, I always like when I'm speaking on it. Hey, we are source energy on a human experience, and we can't let our heart weigh heavier than the feather. We're just going through the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Shining the light on the shadows, raising awareness of all this information, matter of fact, again, because the ancestors led me to sharing this information. So where was I? Kind of finished why. So St. Landry Parish School Board records revealed that the Opelousas Color School was limited to the 9 grades in 1916, while white students were allowed to complete 11 grades. School board minutes also showed that on July 16, 1916, they go with them numbers, a committee appointed by the board to look into the proposition of the colored people of Opelousas relative to a school building made its report. The committee suggested that $100 be set aside annually to form the nucleus of a school fund. The $100, $100 meant more than what it is right now, but that's still not compared to other projects and things, that's a small amount of money. But again, just seeing that, and back to with me dealing with the Ashes this morning, my uncle Lawrence Emerson. So say for instance, upon the death of Professor Augustus in 1944, Professor Augustus was like the head of the Opelousas, so when the Opelousas Color School first started, like he was the head of it. And let's see, matter of fact, getting a little history, y'all. Professor J.H. Augustus, because that's another thing too, and I think that's why I'm back home, like, and not in California at this moment, like connecting with this energy, and sharing this information, because that's what's relevant to the now. There's never been a situation where I haven't been, or none of us haven't been in the right place in the right moment, quote unquote. Like, wherever we are is where we, meant to be. And if we feel like we're not meant to be in that, place, we have that will to change that. But not confusing will with the egoic mind, of like trying to do something outside of your sole purpose. Professor J.H. Augustus, who had served as principal of the old Opelousas Color School, was appointed principal when it was reestablished as a high school on Academy Street. He served as principal throughout the school's operation as the Opelousas Color Training School and into the period when it became known as St. Landry Parish Training School. Upon the death of Professor Augustus in 1944, Professor Lawrence H. Emerson became the principal, a position he retained until the school was permanently closed. On May 27, 1953, the last class graduated from St. Landry Parish Training School. Professor Emerson went on to become the first principal of J.S. Clark High School. Presently, where this book was made back then, because it say presently called East Junior High, and East Junior High was the junior high that I went to. So the building of the junior high that I went to used to be the high school for for the melanated people in Opelousas, because the high school I went to, Opelousas High School, didn't let melanated people start going to it until like I want to say in like 60 or 70. Because matter of fact, my mom's graduating class was the first melanated graduating class to graduate from Opelousas High School. So my mom went to J.S. Clark from like kindergarten to 11th grade, and then that first year of like, all right, we're gonna allow y'all to come to school with us. So they went to Opelousas High School for that senior year. Then you also got the separation with the Catholic Church as well, which Holy Ghost Catholic Church is one of the biggest melanated Roman Catholic congregations, in the South or the Southeast region, but in America. that's a big statement. Say this is a little small town, but again, that just shows the slavery influence as well. It's just a strong influence, from the slavery days, and you kind of see that. But again, forgot where I was at. Oh yeah, just the whole situation I was gonna speak on. Then you had Opelousas Catholic, for which that was for the the white students. Then you had Holy Ghost Catholic, which was like the Catholic school for black people. That's the school that my dad went to. You know what I'm saying? My dad went to the because my grandmother was she was super churchy. As a matter of fact, my grandmother, which is my grandmother, whose brother is Lawrence Emerson, who was the principal of J.S. Clark, and then the principal of the Opelousas Color School at one time. My grandmother was working, you could say, for her brother at J.S. Clark, but then she moved to Holy Ghost Catholic, again, because she was super duper into the Catholic religion. And two, back to that example of, so on our soul purpose, dealing with our soul purpose, and we're dealing with why we here, or just getting clues to what our purpose here in this incarnation. A lot has to do with also looking at like your family members and what kind of like occupation that like most of your family deal with, occupation, or just what. I even say occupation. Fuck that word. I'm sorry I even said it. I mean, I shouldn't even said that word. But like whatever your family members' particular skill set was, what they were good at doing naturally, that give you an idea, of to a certain extent your soul purpose. Because again, our blood family in essence is other souls that to a certain extent we've been, how can I say, having common karma, to release in essence. Let's just say that, like souls with a common karmic lesson to learn in essence. And that's just for the most I could put into words for right now. As far as like again, because you do have your soul, like just straight up, like where you got a soul family of like beings that travel with you, like not only just through, so like you got your family, which is, and two, I also look at like your blood family is also too. A lot of those would be like ancient souls nonetheless, but souls that mostly occupy the earth realm. You know, compared to us, because that's another thing too. If you are like on a, how can I say, in so many words, on an extremely high awakened level, like you're pine, like you just, again, like how we awaken to that stage where we just like the oddball of the family, that because in essence, again, like we star beings that are a little more ancient than the rest of our blood relatives. You know what I'm saying? Like we are, elder beings, that existed past being on this plane of existence, way to, dealing with Lyra and Sirius, just further back into our ancient star history, in essence. And so that's why, so say for instance, us like the indigo children, the people, that just really awaken to a point where the rest of society sees us, crazy. Like we are also family as well, again, on like on but more so just straight up on the light situation, you know, compared to where our blood relatives is they family as well, but more so again like family through karmic ties in essence, souls kind of having to go through a common situation, so to speak. So many words. But just seeing how, again, being led to this information, you know, as a matter of fact, shout out to my brother, just kind of thinking about it, because I know he was very pivotal with a lot of stuff in the melanated community from here to Baton Rouge. In fact, my brother C. May, shout out to my brother C. May, but his grandfather, Dr. Charles Bryant, because he was also on the board at Southern University as well. We want to give an ashe out to him, and his wife as well. But that's the thing too, and that's how I know this is spirit, because it's like I'm delivering this information and like I could feel, and that's how you see, like, again, like your subconscious and your psyche, like that brainwash vibe of that new age movement vibe, like because it's drowning out at this point, like the overwhelming energy of high self and the ancestors is like drowning that out. But like that little voice would try to say in this moment, like, oh no, you got to only talk about chakras and peace and all these little things again where you're neglecting. It's like shadow work. What is shadow work? Shadow work is acknowledging the shadows that exist within you. As above, so below. On this physical plane, we also doing shadow work on the physical level as far as like paying attention to these shadow areas. All this human trafficking of a lot of melanated people for the organs. The baby sacrificing and stuff like that in Hollywood. Like all this has to, what I'm saying, again, shining a light on the shadows, And that's another way of knowing like that this is something that's meant, or that this is not something that's detrimental to my soul ascension, because I feel good while sharing this information. Like it's not like I'm sharing this information and I'm like, I'm sad or this and that. Like even like passing, because another thing too, again, you're having the balance of knowing that I'm sourced on a human experience. So as much as I feel the urge to share this information on on this subject, that doesn't mean I'm tied to our history and past on a level to where when I transition I'm gonna hold myself on earth, what I'm saying, because or on this plane of existence, because I'm like, again, to like let my heart weigh heavier than the feather, like, so having a heavy heart about all this, Like, nah, it ain't no heavy heart about none of this, I'm sourcing the human experience, just doing what I feel like doing, like vibing to what I feel, again, because we opening up that divine primordial mother energy, opening up that quote unquote right brain. And again, the right brain, like if you laying down, because that was also an analogy of the right brain, was in essence like, if you're laying down and you look at the body from, I forgot from whichever side though, where the brain is to the left and the heart is to the right. When you're laying down, your brain, your head on one side and your heart is another place. That's also a reference with that as well. But again, dealing with the past and the relevance of the now. And not seeing how long this video is, I'm not gonna make this a think fast anymore. And I came across this book, The Truth About Old Wives' Tales. Something told me to check out this. I don't know, might have some little interesting stuff in here. But connecting with the ancestors. Matter of fact, I'm feeling like this. Go check out my video talking about cobalite, like connection of copper and melanin. You can't see it, but I got like a piece of azurite, malachite, and shungite. And malachite and most copper, but I ain't gonna say, let's just say malachite for sure, is a carbonate crystal. So it's kind of like a base from carbon, and it's copper. So again, that's two areas that strongly resonate with our, with our melanin, because even dealing with the melanocytes and tyrosinase, that's connected to copper as well. Matter of fact, I can't remember all the literature, matter of fact, but it's in that video that I just brought up. Because the connection is, if you really want to, because another thing too, like this is the fabric of the universe, the carbon, the melanin, again, not, this is like the spiritual science. This is not, again, being caught up in like, I'm melanated, I'm better than everybody. Like, it's not that type of vibe. It's just acknowledging, again, the true knowledge of what melanin is and what it does, and how it connects us to the universe. But again, this crystal, matter of fact, an azurite is just by itself, in essence, amplifies the vibration of like connecting to higher self, and like dealing with like scholarly stuff. So like studying and dealing with information, azurite is good. And I did a video about that not too long ago. You start to see that, again, being led by spirit. So I'm being led by spirit to wear this. I'm being led by spirit. So you start to see that you are going with the, with the quote unquote right or correct flow, in essence, as far as like, because my mind would tell me, well, oh no, I'm being mean to like, say for instance, I should say not my mind, but more so the mind of being coached by this new age movement and all this other stuff that tries to make it seem like you're a racist for bringing up, what's going on this planet. It's like, you're the racist one. Look at how you're pointing out how your people are being fucked over. You're a racist. The ridiculousness, you can only laugh at it. Again, because you're dealing with like little children, like when a little kid do something, might spill some milk, and I know I gotta clean up that milk or whatever the little kid spilled, but it's like, little kid, like, it is what it is. And again, that's what it takes too, to be in a mature soul and understanding that some souls just don't get it, and or some beings just won't get it, to a certain extent. So it's like just like a parent, how like when, and as above so below, that's why I tell people too, like when you're talking down like on any being, no matter what color their bodysuit is, that's like a parent, how like in society where they like, well, you ever been somewhere where they got like a person that's like 50 or like an older person, like grown ass motherfucker, getting into like young people business and like talking down on little children, like where's a little kid, like that little kid is like talking as if that little kid, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, goddamn, you know, you grown, you know better. That little kid don't know better. You know, let that kid live. You know what I'm saying? And this and that, like, that's a kid. You know, they gonna be a kid. You know, just like some of these kids' souls on this plane, they gonna be children. You know, you mature, you grown, act accordingly. You know, you know. Uh, let little baby Donald Trump catch his little temper tantrums. You know, that's children. Don't worry about that. Tend the grown souls business. You know. Do the works, do the inner work, reprogram the subconscious. You know, connect with higher self. Learn about how to get the fuck from out of this matrix. You know? But that's basically it. And again, just feeling that energy surge. So I'm just had to, you know, share my experience, share some information, and just let y'all know, you know, again, that the information, you know, things are right. Matter of fact, and I ain't even gonna finish on that note. Give me 1 second. I might as well add in extra information. Just make it a party. Cause matter of fact, when I was dealing with the information with Soot Typhon, and I was checking out a Bobby Hemmett video to revamp some insight on the situation, and they also brought up how like the Moors, you know, now when we talking about the Moors, even in Kemet, you know, again, like we've been falling from our higher self, you know. Again, we ancient beings, you know, down to, again, artifacts in Louisiana, you know, Louisiana, that dates back to 8,000 to 10,000 years old, you know, and that comes from the horse's mouth. That's another thing too, like who you think printing these books, because we're speaking on this information. That's another way of like knowing that, you know, we just speaking truth and not being racist or anything of that nature, because here it is that it's you know, quote unquote white people that's writing, you know, bringing the information up front, you know what I'm saying? And two, that's part of their, you know, righteousness within raising themselves up. It's like, fuck that, I ain't going down with the rest of these motherfuckers hanging people and enslaved, you know, I'm going to speak up on this information or share this information or whatever the case may be. But so just dealing with the Moors and how the Moors in essence, like so say for instance, like it was in the mystery systems in Kemet, and after the mystery systems collapsed due to the destroying of Alexandria, Europe went into the Dark Ages. So basically they knew so in Kemet, that's what we're gonna say, they knew that they had to bring up the abnorant man up on a higher level. Matter of fact, again, shout out to Bobby Hemmett, because it's coming from what he spoke on in his lecture, and then I got some other information that I researched myself. But again, they knew that they had to, you know, raise up the abnorant man, you know, again, meaning like abnormal, because again, I tell people I'm not one to I just be looking for truth, looking for, you know, for the when I say truth, not nobody or anybody's truth, you know, the reality truth, you know what I'm saying, like the truth of reality in essence, you know, and not just a simple truth, because, you know, the Catholic Church almost made Jesus Christ a true figure in that sense, you know. But because another thing too is, again, that's where you see that we are guardians of this plane, you know, and that Christ consciousness, again, when we see, because even now, like how we've been being cause part of it, yeah, we part of us, like especially in America, like being docile towards waking up, you know, it's kind of like promoted by slavery, you know. But for the most part too, a lot of our, kindness, you know, you could say, our empathetic, empathetic, standpoint, comes from us just being, beings of a higher consciousness, and beings of unconditional love, you know what I'm saying? And not unconditional love in the form of like being overly nice and not being authentic, you know. It's like that unconditional love, because when you think about it, having, loving yourself, and loving yourself mean you're gonna protect yourself. Loving your family mean you're gonna protect your family, you know. So we talk about unconditional love, that doesn't mean like no turn the other cheek type of vibe. But again, we naturally, even again with being enslaved, going through a lot of this shit, and not accepting in that manner, but well, we were able to not, again, like rage out or things of this nature. But again, it's a balanced situation, because part of that, not getting mad and raged out, is also from, again, Operation Fetal Estrogen and demasculinizing, matter of fact, making the herb legal, to, because, as much as, I love smoking my herbs, smoking the herbs, it does lower the testosterone, and I think lowers the sperm count as well. So that's the reality of the situation. So the Moors went into Spain and set up 16 universities, and they also set up Western Masonry to civilize the Europeans. And also that's why in a lot of stuff, like matter of fact, Bobby Hemming brought up, like on a $2 bill, you'll see two melanated brethren on there, because again, and he also spoke to, like, it's a certain Mason hall somewhere where, matter of fact, he was like, if you go on the tour of this Mason hall, this place, he was like, you can't go with too many melanated people, black people, because he's like, because the tour guide won't really take you to, he won't give you the full tour in essence, because what he was saying is like, when they really show you the whole thing, and then they got a little room where it shows like almost like the Leonardo, I think it's whatever his name, Leonardo da Vinci, with the little picture of the hand reaching down to the other hand, but he was saying like it was a black hand reaching down to like a white hand, and like them, knowing and studying that, hey, we got handed this information from these ancient beings, matter of fact, from the great old ones that manifested into the physical as melanated black people, So and then I think too about when I think about Moore, I think about how Source kind of flashed that in my face, because I used to watch The Black Knight a lot, and it was on repeat. Like my grandmother had satellite TV at the time, and like satellite shit would repeat. Movies would be running like back to back on certain channels, and Black Knight was one of them. So I would watch Black Knight a lot. I guess that was like, doing like for some alchemical realizations or something. But I think about on that movie, matter of fact, with Martin Lawrence, with some of the guy called Moore, you Moore, because Moore started to become a derogatory name, almost like nigga, Moore, which in Latin mean Mauri, M-A-U-R-I. Matter of fact, that name was given by the is what the Romans called the Berber people of North Africa, Moor or Maori. And the land was called Mauritania. And also Merino, M-O-R-E-N-O, was another word used meaning dark complexion. Matter of fact, I'm going through this information that I just kind of came across. Then you got the Moro or Bangso Moro, was like a Muslim population in the Philippines. As a matter of fact, that's also too, we're talking about because the Berbers, kind of like with that Islamic vibe as well. Like the Moors kind of established that, because that's why dealing with masonry, they got like a lot of like, even with the way they build their buildings and stuff like that, it has some like Middle Eastern, you could say Islamic type of vibe. Think about Morocco and that little area. So be catching these little. I guess my brain just have to like hold on, motherfucker. God damn, motherfucker, you trying to move 1,000 miles per hour? But anyway, so again, also they had in the Philippines they had this you could say like Muslim population, aka like Moorish population, called the Moro, called Bangsa Moro. There was a large area in the Philippines, and you also have Shakespeare referring to to the Moorish people as the Black Moors. And again, they didn't refer to themselves as Moor. That was more so parallel to the word nigger, like a derogatory term. And the Spanish, the Moors ruled from 700 A.D. to from the year 700 A.D. to 1400 A.D. So like for 700 years, as a matter of fact, number 700 years, 7 with the serpent energy. And also with this situation, again, this is why a lot of people who don't go deeper into the works and understand our true spiritual purpose, like when you get to our higher purpose and the fact that we are God on a human experience, you know what I'm saying, going through certain experience. Because like say for instance, a lot of people on a human level, human moralistic level, oh, the Moors are sellout. They taught the Europeans everything. They gave them this, they gave them that. They, and which, basically did. Because even too, they still do have this picture. You probably could just go Google it with George Washington standing up with with a Moorish brethren, like pointing out shit, like basically how they mapped out Washington D.C. They did that with the help of the Moors. So that's another thing too. There was Moorish people still, like at the beginning of this, like it was a balance of situation. And two, you start to see how when you know your shit, certain people don't fuck with you. Like for the people who didn't really know their shit, or that they could, like bullshit or whatever the case may be, that's who became the slaves or whatever. But to the brethren who knew their shit and had their shit together, they couldn't really, fuck over them, and was, using the help of them. You know what I'm saying? Again, because even down to which I'm not familiar with that information with us having, black presidents, at one time as well, again at the beginning. Like matter of fact, before George Washington was a president. And it would, again make sense because again they using that, that knowledge, because these with at that time they had just had been raised up as far as like being taught things in that situation. And I think that's no coincidence because I think about who that is. I think a red pill or blue pill lately had a video, and they had to kind of get into this vibe of like, again, where our ancestry is not like how, again, because where you get most of your literature from is like, in essence in America from European, and they're gonna be talking about like Neanderthals and this and that, where we come from, and it's like, nah, that may be your history, but that's not, the history of the melanated people on the planet. And again, this is not dealing with this information to be on no ego level of like, oh, I've been here or this and that. It's again just knowing thyself, just knowing what you are. Again, it would be idiotic to not acknowledge the facts and the information that you've been, not taught, and that would be helpful to your growth. It's like, knowing where you come from, to know where you're going, and knowing where you come from also to not U-turn and go back into some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh no, I knew that was some bullshit. I done dealt with that before in the past, so I'm not going back to that. You know, again, like with knowing your history, like reading up on Aldous Huxley and information about dystopias, and how Plato was speaking on basically how to somewhat subtly, like the beginning stages of how to create, again, which his book was called The Republic. But like how to create a situation where you kind of govern people in a manner where you could control them, you know. So it's like it's important to know this information, to help us grow. It help us again to know to not fall for the banana in the tailpipe. So now when somebody come around knocking on your door like, hey, do you know of Jesus Christ and this and that? Like, matter of fact, you hit them like like on Friday. Are you prepared for the Jehovah's return? Because if you ain't, I got some brochure. Oh, wham! And Craig slammed the door on her ass. Shit, like, you have dead mother. Come on, sister. But again, by knowing what popped off in the past, you could be like, oh no, I'm straight on your Bible studies. I'm good. I mean, look, unless we breaking down the Bible to get to point out how they missing the Apocrypha and how it's missing the Book of Enoch and how Constantine got together with 2 Nicene councils and put out those books and made this the devil and made this that and try to turn the Christ energy into a historic person named Jesus. We could we could have Bible study in that type of manner, but not know Noah brought all the animals onto his ship. See, ain't that truly amazing how Noah did that? Not that type of Bible study. So again, back to the Moorish information. They ruled from 700 to 14. Oh, and before I get into it again, and also again speaking to like what it was, the 1494. I can't remember the exact date, but where the Moorish people finally signed Spain, a certain area of Spain, over to to Isabella and somebody else. And I think I did a video about this recently. But that's when they, signed things over to them, and that's when Christopher Columbus was allowed to first say, oh, my Christopher Columbus video, I spoke on this. So matter of fact, to follow up on some of this Moorish information, because I also got that story, because matter of fact, I brought that story up earlier too, with the people from Mali who traveled to this area 400 years before Christopher Columbus was born. I got the reference of that book where that information come from in the video that I did on Christopher Columbus, and I think I called it like Indigenous Beings Day or Indigenous Day or something like that. Go check out that video. And as I get my laptop together and stuff like that, I'm gonna start back because the YouTube videos, they allow for you to have the little ID card where when I'm speaking on a certain thing, it could pop up in a reference a video that I'm talking about. So like how I'm doing it, because that's what I used to do, but again, I've been manifesting. We good, we getting it together. But so ruled from 700 AD to 1400 AD, making advancements in art, architecture, education, and commerce, while London, a village without street lamps and basically without the bathing technology, like all that was missing. That all comes from the Moors. Matter of fact, the Moorish city had 700 mosques, 300 public baths, 21 suburbs, streets paved and lit, marble balconies to go outside for the summer, and hot air ducts under the mosaic floors for the winter. The Church of Western Europe initially banned the use of paper, calling it pagan art, believing that the animal parchment was the only thing holy enough to carry sacred word. Oh, I put this in here because also the Moorish people kind of sparked the beginning, like, basically again teaching the Europeans of using the paper, the printed press. So this little excerpt, this little quote right here, this little information was speaking on too. I wrote it down because it showed too, like how again, like that animalistic nature where they like fuck paper. It's much more holy to write out information on a piece of animal. You know, it's like you know, just to give you perspective of the situation. And again, this is not to get in the egoic mind of, you know, thinking you're better than somebody or thinking you're less than somebody. Again, when I speak, I'm speaking to everybody. You know, whether you call yourself white or black, whether you're blacker than tar or whiter than cocaine. You know, this is all for again, because with us, like, cause I'm even doing this in this moment, like of again, like teaching and not being discriminative about teaching, cause again, I like almost like guardians of the galaxy, you know. Matter of fact, you got the lions guarding that gate of the feminine energy, but again, we are down here to raise up energy, you know. So that means, you know, helping in all those who want to, be knowledgeable to this information, no matter again what color their bodysuit is, you know. We are here to deliver this reality, truth of information, and you know, it's not a discriminating thing on who to share it with. You know, again, I mean, as far as like those who are open to receiving the information, but again, it's not no, oh, this not for no, because again, with the white population, especially being like I'm from Louisiana, like I got my grandfather almost looked like a white man, you know. So like another thing too to get in perspective, where a lot of you, I'm talking to again, whether you consider yourself to be white or black, just know this history that, and that's why they got the one drop rule, where you know if you have sex with a melanated person and you know you black, and that's, you know, you melanated, in which that, you know, you are melanated, you know what I'm saying. But it got the little terminology. Once you go black, you don't go back. What's funny is like little simple terminologies, but it has reality in it as well. But like how uh like when I'm saying all this, there are people who consider themselves to be white and in essence are melanated in essence, you know. So just keep that in perspective as well. That's why you may, again, I think about, oh shit, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and what's real. I'm about to get to a quote, because where that terminology come from is the Moors and how they clean themselves. So let me get back. Let me get into that. I was just talking about the paper, because the paper was still unknown to Europe at the time, and they implemented that. And so basically bringing Europe out of the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages into the well-known Renaissance period. In the 10th and 11th centuries, libraries were non-existent, basically like in the London areas and in the rest of Europe. While the Moorish Spain, because matter of fact, it's kind of like what it is, like Spain, where the Moors was, and then you got like the rest of Europe, in essence, that wasn't, you know, onto this information. Uh, while Moorish Spain, so 10th to 11th century libraries were non-existent, while Moorish Spain had over 70 libraries also founded. Now, when I brought up that the Moors went into Spain and set up 16 universities, that's the information I got from Bobby Hemmett. Then this other information say 17 universities, and you see, like cross-referencing is like, all right, one source, this source, and then two source. So I got like external sources, and then I got internal source, you know, because all sources, there was no coincidence we use that name, but all sources count when you're dealing with taking in information. So not only the physical sources of information, but also the non-physical sources of information, aka your inner source, letting you know like, hey, that information is true, you should share it, you know. Compared to like when you come across some information, it's like you know, we all done come across information we feel like, nah, that ain't, I shouldn't share that, or that ain't the truth, or, you know, like our intuition be guiding us with our studying as well. I always bring up the man who knew infinity. You know, the man who knew infinity, who basically, you know, came up. Matter of fact, a brethren from India who came up with this calculus, just some type of mathematical equation that would like that they were looking for in like, you know, they were looking for in mathematics, where they just couldn't find, you know, how to make some operation pop off in arithmetic. But this brethren intuitively, you know, from high self, you know, just bam, got this formula imprinted in them. Because matter of fact, and when every time they would ask him where he got it from, or how to explain how he got it, you know, because like, how did you get it? Did you do it from breaking down this situation? Like, nah, I just got it. Like, you know, like source just gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Nikola Tesla. When you read up on him, like when he like with him inventing things, like he would just see that shit like third eye on fucking, you know, on a thousand, on infinite. You know, that's another thing too, why they again continues to try to calcify your pineal glands, to not only lower your connection to higher self, but also, you know, we have extremely vivid visualizations. The more our pineal gland is open, and the stronger it becomes, you know, to where again, like Nikola Tesla was able to break down shit, knew all just how to put everything together from scratch, you know what I'm saying? Because he just would have that strong vision in his mind. So on to the next part. Okay, the Moors was known for stylish clothes, and also changing garments according to hot and cold season. So I guess, you know, maybe other people would just kind of wear one set of clothes throughout the year, whatever. They kind of would switch it up and had different little vibes. And you done seen some of these pictures of these people dressed, you know, with, like, matter of fact, and that's probably why I like my little scarf and wrap it around my head sometime. But you'll see pictures of these people like garmented up and having all these jewels and stuff like that. You know, if you Google Moorish people, you probably find some of those pictures. Now, so this come with the little folklore stuff, for not only for with getting married, but also with taking a bath. And with this situation, again, you get to see that this is us in our fallen state. Now think about that too. Like, again, this is fallen motherfuckers who are, you know, for lack of a better word, you know, educating, you know, having all this knowledge. This is beings that are considered to have fallen from their grace. You know what I'm saying, at this point. So think about that. Because too, when I think about the marriage situation, then I'm like, all right, that's for sure just, again, falling from grace. Like, well, now you doing you know, with the marriage stuff like that outside. Because again, that's what I think about when I bring that stuff up, like about marriage and stuff like that, and graveyards, and I bring up how it comes from the European. I'm also aware though that a lot of things were taught to the Europeans by the Moorish people, and the Europeans may have put their own little twist on it or whatever. But again, this vibe of marriage and certain other things did come from Moorish people. And again, that's how you get, again, that ego, that human vibe, where some people like, oh, the Moorish people sell out to this and that, you know, or they wasn't, you know. But again, when you get the bigger picture, you know, it's like, oh, I see, you know. Again, because it's all us. This is all we doing is just dealing with ourselves. Like, you know, the outer universe is a manifestation of the inner universe. And first and foremost is about, again, you know, finding out, realizing that we are sourced on a human experience. You know, and just amplifying it. And I know I was gonna say something else, but most people got married in June because they took their yearly bath in May, and still smell pretty good by June. However, they were starting to smell, so brides carried a bouquet of flowers to hide the body odor. So like where you get so hence the custom today of carrying a bouquet when you get married. You know, it's like to hide the body odor a little bit because they hadn't taken the yearly bath yet. Hence the custom today. Oh, baths consisted of a big tub filled with hot water. The man of the house had the privilege of the nice clean water, then all the other sons and men, then the women, and finally the children. Now again, this is also a situation again that points out to a falling place, because here it is where we done fell to a place of putting the the masculine, like over masculinizing things, where the woman and the children are put last. And so with that being said, again, now this is with the women and the children being put last. This is not us killing our women and children, but again, that idea of putting the women and children last, and then the Moors establishing, masonry and teaching, Europeans through these universities and stuff like that. Hence, then when you get to, religion or, certain information dealing with the mystery schools, but then getting down to the Bible where you got Moloch. And Moloch, worshiping women and children. And then you got Bohemian Grove, where it's shown that, again, all the presidents, whether, and matter of fact, because you see how it's a game where even before they become, some of them even before they become president, be at Bohemian Grove. You could almost say like that's the social vibe to really see if they should be, maybe, but they go in Bohemian Grove and they do the fake cremation of care, where they sacrifice a woman, and they worship the big owl Moloch. But again, you see where our fallen place got passed down to the European. That's why I tell people again, this is about energy. Like I'm source dealing with myself, so like as much as like, cause to show you the reality of the situation, like it would be ridiculous to consider myself a part of everything, the fabric of the universe, but not those white people over there. It's like, nah, that's all, like all a part, you know what I'm saying? Like all of what we're dealing with is dealing with ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it turns into a personification of these, quote unquote white people that's trying to oppress or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that comes from some energy that been going on within yourself, you know what I'm saying? And so it manifests into that situation outside of yourself, always keep that in perspective. So again, this is an example of being in our fallen state of being, because we treat the feminine energy with way more respect, you know what I'm saying? So we with the Moor, when we got to the part with the Moors, that was a extremely fallen place. And as Moors taught, matter of fact, and all right, I put that in. As Moors taught Europeans, they took this vibe and amplified it tenfold. So like again, like the like with the women and children being last, they took that and like amplified it. Like, all right, so that means we could sacrifice them motherfuckers to eat the children. so again, so with the terminology, the man of the house had the privilege of the nice clean water. Then all the sons and men, then the women, and finally children. Last of all, the babies. By then, the water was so dirty you could actually lose someone in it. Hence the saying, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. Ta-da! But that's where you get that terminology from them, reusing that water. So it's like, hey, don't throw the baby out with the bad water, goddamn it. Check that water. Make sure. And again, and I always think about that terminology too with our situation, as far as like melanated people and non-melanated people. It's like, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. You know, some people that bodysuit may not show melanin may be just as helpful to you on your spiritual growth as somebody melanated. So again, and that's where you see this is about raising our consciousness and getting into the Christ consciousness and feeling more than, you know, trying to logically, you know, analyze things, you know, and prejudge situations. Like feel, you know, you could feel whether something's right or wrong, you know, right or wrong. You could feel like uneasy or feel easy in the situation, you know. That's basically it. And now it'd be a great time to, you know, step into probably doing some altar work. You know, altar work again, you consulting with your inner energies. You know, by dealing with the altars, like dealing with the subconscious mind and symbols. You know, activating energies within yourself. Papa Legba, I am Papa Legba, I am Oshun, I am Gede, I am Bowen Samde, Goon, I am Kuan Yin, I am all of that, you know. But at the same time, I am not in the sense of these are like egotistical guides, no, but more so like the energies that they are made to represent are all within me. You know what I'm saying? So not an actual, you know, not necessarily in all cases is an actual being inside of us on that level, but it is, again, as above so below, though. You know what I'm saying? For everything that we see outside. So how you know, they got beings preying on our energy from the outside. That because, you know, we got beings praying, trying to pray from our inner universe. You know, certain energies within ourselves. Like, say for instance, that energy that's trying to get you to overeat, that energy that's trying to get you to overly drink alcohol or overly drink coffee and be acidic. You know what I'm saying? Like, that energy is inside you, and again, because as you drink that coffee or do whatever and bring your vibration down, then it manifests outside of you, where you bring yourself closer and closer to things that vibrate on that acidic nature, you know, on that acidic level. So also got that situation as well. But that's basically it, y'all. Peace. Happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Peace, y'all.